T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And ignition and liftoff of Ares 1X, testing concepts for the future of new rocket design.
Hello and welcome to the next edition of Trivial Debates, the ultimate pulp culture challenge. I'm your host, Captain Dave Mader, and we have some awesome new debates for you in this episode. In each episode, our panelists will be judged and scored on their arguments for facts, passion, and creativity. We got some terrific panelists to introduce. Of course, Ashley Millard. She is the resident Debate 9 host and the quiz admiral of Live Long and Podcast. It's Ashley.
The trivia host.
Yes.
Not Debate 9. Trouble with trivia. I do trivia.
Aren't you coming up on a Debate 9, though?
I should be, yes. When we can nail it down, I'll be on it, yeah. I have been on it before. It is a good one.
Murphy wrote these intro notes for me, Ashley. So
that's okay.
Confused, and that was in my brain, and I knew you were showing up on Debate 9.
That's okay. I have done Debate 9, and I will be doing another Debate 9.
Okay, well, we'll see if I can do better on this next one. He's a Dublin-based author, content producer, and the host of the famed Trek Culture channel. It's Sean Ferrick.
Hello, how are you getting on? Nailed it.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here. Terrified. I'm delighted.
Glad to have you with us. And very nice to meet you. Up next, he is the Australian Star Trek content creator and a Doctor Who aficionado behind the Trek Trav YouTube channel. It's Travis Cook.
Thank you. I am nervous as crap, but ready to have some fun. And yeah, that's about it. That's what I've got.
Okay, well, I'm excited to have you all with us. Okay, how the show works, there will be 6 rounds. Movies, TV, music, sports, history, and Wildcard. Today, all Star Trek themed. So in each round, we'll ask a question. Each contestant will say, this is what they're championing or what their perspective is. Someone will win that round, and whoever has the most rounds after the 6 rounds will go into the 2 top contenders will go into the speed round. Same questions again. So, and we'll go through that to finally crown a winner. We want people to be passionate and not personally mean to one another. So be nice, everybody. Not so important with this particular panel, but it's we like to set those ground rules. Keep in mind, you can if you're watching on YouTube, you can always skip to a new debate by looking at the time indexes in the description, going to the battles that interest you the most. And with that, let's get ready to rumble, as they say. All right, first up, it's our movie round, and yes, which Star Trek film is the most underrated? Well, hey, come on, let's ding, 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 indeed.
Sorry, Loop was stuck.
Yeah, it's all good. Okay, I'm sure we got some interesting challenges. I don't know who is going to say what here. This has all been hidden from me by producer Chris Murphy. So let's get into it. Ashley, you were up first.
Okay, it'll probably come as no surprise to Dave, but I have chosen Star Trek V as my most underrated film. Mm-hmm. I think Star Trek V, when it comes to the Star Trek movies, is the most similar. When it comes to the original series Star Trek movies, is the most similar to an actual TOS episode. You got the sort of godly creature that needs to be foiled. You get great banter with McCoy, Kirk, and Spock. You get a secret relative, which has become known. Spock, relatives coming out of the woodwork everywhere. Spock. And it's cheesy, just like the episodes were. And it's just a great fun watch. You have the the fun beginning with the three of them camping, the marshmallows and the Spock going after Kirk for climbing the mountain. It's one of the easiest, it's some of the best lines in any of the Star Trek movies for quotability. What does God need with a starship? Preparing to toast marshmallows. Please, Captain, not in front of the Klingons.
True. All good points. All good points. Okay. Well, I'm glad that Star Trek V is in the fight. We'll go to Travis next and see what he'll champion for this debate.
I'm going to champion Star Trek Insurrection because I feel, and a similar reasons to Ashley, actually, that Star Trek Insurrection is the most Star Trek The Next Generation movie that you can think of. First Contact and Nemesis, the Generations feel a bit like a Picard-centric sort of crazy thing, whereas Insurrection has the moral code, it has a little bit of Picard romance, it feels like a 2-hour-long episode of The Next Generation. Spiritually, it has the morals and the feeling of it, particularly standing up for your rights. There's lines in the episode where they talk about when is it wrong? At what point does it become wrong to move a group of people? I do question the fact that some of the characters in that particular situation. I won't go into that. But for me, Insurrection holds true.
I got to cut you off there, Travis.
Right.
We have a format to follow. All right, so let's move on to Sean and hear what our third option will be for this.
Now, I love both of your choices so far, but for me, there is only one answer, and it's Star Trek: The Motion Picture. It is the film that has taken the longest amount of time to find the biggest audience and to really appreciate it for what it did, not just for what it does as a film on its own, for what it did for Star Trek as an entire franchise. But if we just look at it in a microcosm way, it completely and utterly changed the game and was derided from its premiere. Even its own cast came out to speak against it. Looking at you, James Doohan. But it is a beautiful masterpiece of a film that is so often written off as it's the one you can skip because you need to get to the Wrath of Khan. But actually, it changed how we saw Star Trek as a franchise, and we got Disco McCoy.
Well, okay. I was not expecting Star Trek 1 to be in this, but I am pleasantly surprised. Okay, so now we're going to go into the open debate where you can all trash each other. You can discuss each other's picks and say more about yours if you wish. But let's go.
I'm a fan of both of those movies as well. I'm going to push Star Trek 1 to the side. And I mean, I do agree it's the most skippable, and not for the reasons to get to Wrath of Khan, because I think Wrath of Khan is overrated, but that's a debate for another time. It doesn't even, Star Trek 5, at least Captain Kirk is the captain of the Enterprise. Star Trek 1, he's not even the captain of the Enterprise in it. Like, it just starts all like willy-nilly. It's kind of all over the place. Insurrection is poorly named. There isn't even an insurrection in the movie. I just like Star Trek 5. You get comedy and you get incredible acting from Bones when his father's dying. Like, you get drama and you get comedy, and it's just such a great masterpiece altogether. You don't really get that in the other two.
I feel like Insurrection, the joke about Data noticing boobs firming up, as much as it is a very immature joke, I remember at 13 years old having a giggle at that. I don't think the TNG cast did comedy very well, and that's why sometimes they don't manage it. I think in Picard they did, but in Insurrection, their first attempt at sort of, we will ignore Generations and the emotion chip, but in Insurrection, they tried that a little. They sort of tried to sort of push that lighter tone, which I enjoyed, because Next Generation for me was a lighter show. It was a show about positivity, about hope, about protecting your strengths and the power I don't even know what I'm talking about now. Protecting your morals and your beliefs, standing up for what you believe in, and I don't think the other films really do that. Motion picture is, I love it visually, but none of the characters feel like the characters except for Bones. And in Star Trek V, I do feel like William Shatner wanted to be 30-year-old Kirk again, and that was the writing felt less mature than the other TOS films, in my opinion.
I think Kirk always wanted to be young Kirk. I think that was just part of his character. Kirk was kind of a renegade, and I think that continued on through all of the films, especially I think in 3. He was also kind of trying to be that young Kirk as well. And I think that was like bang on for his character.
I agree with you there, Ashley. I think that is a theme that runs through all of the films when it comes to Kirk. I hear what you're saying, Travis, because of how Wrath of Khan addresses it. For my problem for 5 is I'm with the producer on this one, Ralph Winter, who said they were smoking their own reviews coming off Voyage Home. And they thought that they could kind of do whatever they wanted, which is why, in my opinion, I love 5. 5 looks and feels like a cheap film. And they went to the cheapest effects house because they didn't want to use the B team from ILM, who were obviously ILM were busy on Last Crusade. And for me, it's very difficult to get past what 5 looks like. All right, motion picture, as you said, motion picture is the most beautiful film, hands down. There is no question for that. 5 has that amazing score from Jerry Goldsmith. I mean, there's many, many, many things William Shatner did right with 5. I disagree that none of the characters in 1 feel like the characters. I think Spock is all right through. I think he's there. I think we struggle with it because of he's coming off the Kolinar or not achieving Kolinar. But I think it's there, and I think it works so well. And their relationship particularly works so well as well. And we see, I mean, it's a glorified remake of The Changeling, but we see Star Trek at its very core, which is new life.
My movie has Uhura fan dance, and neither of yours does. I win.
Well, okay, a lot of.
I mean, okay, that's hard to argue with that. To be fair,
I just did a video about that.
I gotta hand it to Sean to a certain. I'm not necessarily giving him the point, but I have to give a lot of credit to Sean here for making me consider that Star Trek 1 might be a good movie. Like it's like I really like. Wow, is he right about this? Like,
I need to stress we're all Star Trek fans, so there's no way that we're going to hate any of these films.
Exactly. I actually do love all 3 and have argued that all 3 are underrated at some point in time.
And again, we're totally on the same thing. There's so much I love in 5. I love Insurrection. Insurrection is my like comfort movie as well.
Yeah.
Because I had it on cassette. I wore out the VHS.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I'm sufficiently convinced all 3 of these are underrated. So so congratulations there. I think like the thing that I think is missing from the Insurrection argument was the score. I don't know if I got enough because that's maybe my favorite part of that movie is some of the especially with the is it the Baku, right? Yeah, like with some of the stuff in the beginning intro before everything starts blowing up. So I really love that. So, but I'm not giving you the point.
Which is funny because I had the soundtrack to Insurrection and listened to it all the time with episode 1 of Star Wars, but didn't cross my mind for this talk.
Yeah.
I didn't bring in score because I honestly think all of the movies have excellent scores. Like I think it's just a normal thing that all Star Trek movies have excellent scores. It's just par for the course.
Don't worry, Sean did it for you. So I'm giving the point to Ashley in this round. Ashley is the winner of the movie round. Congratulations to Ash.
Yay, Star Trek
5.
Also interesting, we all picked Jerry Goldsmith films.
Yeah, and he's my favorite Star Trek composer by far. Well, actually, I love James Horner too, but
I like Cliff Idleman. Weirdly, Star Trek is my favorite.
Yeah, that was some great debates there. Good opener. Let's head into TV round and keep this going here. So the TV question here is: which main character from a Star Trek TV series was the most underused? So, main cast only, please. We'll start with Travis this round. And you have the floor, sir.
I chose B'Elanna Torres And I will tell you why. There is an episode, I think it's in season 6, where she is wearing one of those really cool Voyager singlets. And I remember thinking, watching that episode, why the hell wasn't B'Elanna made that tough? You look at Sarah Connor, you look at even Janeway, you look at Ripley, B'Elanna Torres wearing a singlet, kicking ass. She had a lot of drama in her upbringing. She had a lot of strength. She was fighting against some of her own sort of beliefs and stuff like that. And I feel like when Seven of Nine came along, there was obviously a lot of excitement for Seven of Nine. And she was sort of pushed down, like they put her with Tom Paris. They made her have a baby. Well, not make her the baby. She had a baby, so she sort of got. While there were strong episodes for her later on, she very much got pushed aside.
Oh, I guess you're out of time.
Patah!
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, Sean, you're next. Okay. Who are you putting up against B'Elanna Torres?
Travis Mayweather from Enterprise, who is there in every episode. He pilots the ship, and there's just so many opportunities where they could have taken his backstory. He was a space boomer. He was born on the ECS Horizon. He was born between two worlds. He shared dual citizenship. None of that ever played into his character. There was a whole, you could have explored, what is it to be a human who has, for most of their life, existed only in space in terms of ships. That was never explored. What does it mean to be, a member of the Federation outside of Starfleet, which could have been a core theme of Enterprise? And unfortunately, for 4 seasons, he was a very pretty doorstop, don't get me wrong, but he was there to push the buttons. And it just feels like a massive waste of a character.
You want to keep your arms inside the vehicle at all times.
All right, Travis Mayweather. Okay, yeah, I think that's a good one. And Ashley?
Yeah. All right, I also went with an Enterprise character, and I went with Hoshi. I think she had she could have had such an interesting backstory. They kind of gave us a glimmer on her being a great character. She was a good concept, but they kind of painted themselves in a corner writing for her. I loved the idea that they didn't just have this magical device that could translate for everyone, and that they needed someone who could figure that out. I understand why it wouldn't work for every episode, but I don't think that they played on that enough. I also don't think that they played on her fear of space enough as well. And I think they could have incorporated Mayweather into Enterprise more with Hoshi, in him helping her overcome her fear of space. I think we could have gotten less of Trip and T'Pol rubbing each other, and some more conversations between Mayweather and Hoshi, having conversations about what it is to live in space.
I'm a translator. I didn't come out here to see corpses hanging on hooks.
That's right, Hoshi. Okay, well, great choices, everybody. Okay, so let's hear it. 2 Enterprise characters is interesting as well. Okay.
If I just say, so Hoshi would have been my other one, to be honest with you. I think
Mayweather was my first choice.
I think that's so funny. I think it's so funny.
The funny thing about Mayweather, and I'm going to give you a bit of a leg up here, is in the opening credits of Enterprise, he's billed before Connor Trenier.
Right.
He is billed. He is a main character who is billed before one of the top characters used in Enterprise, and he disappears in season 3 and 4. Like, he could have been the helmsman, the just random helmsman like they had on TNG. There was no reason for him.
Completely agree.
I picked both of those answers previously. And then I coincidentally thought of the other Trek shows, and I'm going, who I wanted to see just kick ass every episode? B'Elanna. I don't know why, I don't know how, but I feel like she was getting well used until they put in 7 of 9, and then B'Elanna suddenly just got put on this very straight, narrow path that never really developed too far, other than her relationship with Tom. Whereas Hoshi and Travis, I didn't feel with Travis. I think his acting wasn't as good as, say, Roxanne Dawson's. And I feel the same about Hoshi. I feel like the acting for Hoshi wasn't as good as
But I
B'Elanna's.
think
feel
they
like
didn't give. I don't think they gave her enough to act on, because if you think about the mirror episodes, she was awesome. So she is actually a fantastic actor. And if they had actually given her more like scripts with something to chew on, she could have killed that role, and they gave her shit because Trek in the 90s and early 2000s didn't know how to write for women. And I will agree with the B'Elanna, but at least B'Elanna had more character arc through the whole seasons. Yes, she was seen less after 7 of 9 came in, but everyone was seen less after 7 of 9 came in. We didn't even get as much Janeway after 7 of 9 came in because everyone wanted the catsuit big boobs, and they didn't want the leading ladies who had good stories.
I basically, actually, you've made the same point I was going to make. Like where B'Elanna, this is terrible praise, but at least got 3 seasons before 7 came in. Whereas from the jump, I think Mayweather and Hoshi were effectively, maybe with good intentions, but they were set dressing in Enterprise. And where Hoshi, I think Hoshi had the more, I think of the two, I think possibly there was so much you could have done with Hoshi's fear of space. There was obviously this pre-existing relationship with Archer that was just never explored. And with the reason I went with Mayweather in the end is just there is that whole side of humanity we just haven't explored before that was teased with the character of Mayweather. And there's always this kind of like, he's done something that he has a little bit of expertise in this. It's like, that's great. I would love to see that, Travis. That would be lovely. Hoshi, at least things like In a Mirror Darkly, the fact that even with those 2 episodes meant we got more of her than we got of Mayweather, that's not praise for the show.
But, like, Travis is the character in the show, and I agree he should have been on more, but Hoshi is there setting up the foundations for the communication system on Earth that is going to lead us through the rest of Star Trek. Why didn't we see more of this? Like, she is this historically huge character in the Star Trek franchise, and she's barely used.
And the same reason for it as well. You've got Joel Lane and Jerry Ryan. Like, I saw the time ago.
This is tough, I gotta tell you, because I'm trying not to let my own sort of biases or sort of opinions coming in color this too much. Like, I do feel like B'Elanna is got some strong episodes throughout the 7 seasons, you know, including towards the end. Although I agree that she, you know, like 7 of 9 did overshadow much of the cast in those last couple of seasons, and the stories were very Borg focused, and you know, and there were also some, you know, some episodes with B'Elanna that I was less into, I guess. Maybe the one with the Klingon ship they came to visit is one that stands out. But the one where she's like trying to reprogram her the DNA of her baby and all that
was heavy.
That was a very heavy episode, and so I feel like she was used. And then so I'm sorry, Travis. I just feel like the facts alone with B'Elanna don't support it.
I want to say about B'Elanna quickly, to Travis's point, is that she got some great episodes, but then, and there was heavy stuff that happened in the episodes, and then no follow-up to any of that. Like, I feel like there should have been more stuff for the Ship of the Dead afterwards. Like, Star Trek glazes over PTSD so much that there could have been so many themes that came through for B'Elanna for some of her heavy episodes that they just ignored. They're like, we gave her episode, we don't have to worry about her anymore.
She was sad about my key.
Yeah, on that one as well. Extreme Risk is an episode that I know it's the 90s. I know how television dealt with suicidal ideation really wasn't developed very well there. But when I say that was kudos for, I guess, mentioning it, but that was very, it's okay because she hugged Janeway at the end.
Yeah.
Cured. What?
So in terms of back to our debate here, so I'm kind of left trying to figure out between Mayweather and Hoshi, where you have Hoshi, who I think is the stronger actor of the two, Linda Park specifically over Travis Montgomery. But I agree that technically Mayweather was used less, and definitely, compared to Hoshi. But is that for a good reason? Did the writers go, I don't think he can carry this? So then it's kind of like, I don't know. Like, so I feel like Hoshi is the choice in this round, which gives Ashley a 2-point lead.
Wait, no, I totally disagree.
Fun fact, I made notes and everything, forgot that I didn't get Mayweather as my thing, did like a page long of notes. Like, fuck, he's not my pick.
I know, there it is. It's like, it must be Mayweather.
So it's like, I have some good arguments on Mayweather, and then I was like, I can't even argue these.
I feel like the only answer is Mayweather, to be honest. I feel like Mayweather is the single most underused character in the entire franchise.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I agree with you that he's the most underused, but maybe for good reason. So therefore, I was like, that's why I was like,
Montgomery. Poor Anthony Montgomery.
No, I
liked him.
Look, his name is Travis. I wanted to love him. I wanted to love him.
Travis. Come on. Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, it's not like I don't hate Anthony Montgomery's performances or the character, but I think he's a little bit more, like, you think about that Mirror Universe episode, which got brought up, and the fact that, like, they don't give him a lot to do in that episode where they, compared to like Linda Park.
And he didn't even, they gave him an earring. Like, what a terrible alter universe.
And some
kicks. Have an earring.
Yeah.
He looked a little bit like a low budget Blade. Like, he even had the little triangle point.
It's a low budget Blade. I love it. Okay, well, we're moving on to music round, everybody. So the question for the music is, who was the most enjoyable singer on Star Trek? There have been many singers. I think I'm not going to name my examples because I'm guessing they're going to come at me in the next few seconds. Sean. I think Sean has the floor first this time.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So for my pick, as overused as the character might have been, Jerry Ryan, 7 of 9. She has a beautiful singing voice. I remember, of course, The Killing Game Part 1, where I can't remember the exact, so, it can't be right, it can't be wrong, where she's singing in Le Coeur de Lion. And she just has this beautiful, beautiful tone. And then, of course, later in Someone to Watch Over Me as well, when she's singing her duet with the Doctor, who would probably be my second pick, would be Robert Picardo. And they are an excellent double act together. But I think honestly, just to keep it simple, for how much I love the sound of her voice, for me, it was the first answer. It was the only answer. And also, I've never heard someone sing so beautifully while being tortured by the ethics-free EMH from Equinox. So that's great, too.
That's true. That's a chilling scene, but it's got some great vocals. Okay, Ashley, I think you are up next.
Yep, I went with Celia Rose Gooding, who plays Uhura on Strange New Worlds. Obviously, we've had a couple of episodes with her singing. In the first season, we had the one where she had to communicate with that device on the planet to figure out how to communicate with it, and it was done in music. And then we have Subspace Rhapsody, and I know that the fans are kind of divided on whether or not they like the musical episode. I'm a huge fan of musicals and musical theater. I'm also a huge fan of musical episodes of TV shows. I loved it. Her song in that, Keep Us Connected, the range of her voice is incredible. She can go so low and she can go so high, and it was so emotional, and you can see why she's won a Grammy. Like, she has such a voice. I can't wait to see more of her singing in Strange New Worlds.
Wow.
Bum, 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 bum.
All right. Well, I think you're up, Travis. Got some strong contenders here. So
I'm pretty sure I chose Patrick Stewart. I chose Captain Picard because Picard was shown within the TNG universe. I've seen that clip. Picard in the Star Trek universe and in Star Trek TNG was theatrical. He was very into Macbeth and Shakespeare and Hamlet. And you can't tell me when he's dancing in Star Trek Insurrection, he doesn't look like he's done a dance number or two. And also doing Gilbert and Sullivan and knowing them by name. He sings without shame in front of Worf, the toughest character in the show. He sings to Data to calm him down and distract him. And with Brent Spiner, like it's an excellent duo. I certainly think that, and I know that the actor Patrick Stewart can sing to a level. Maybe not now, he's an older gentleman. But Patrick Stewart showed us a tiny little bit of his singing talent. And it was that.
Finish your thought.
Star is a soaring soul, as free as a mountain bird. His energetic fist should be ready to resist.
Okay, I'll let you go. Sorry, I just needed a little bit of that.
I wish you had pulled Frere Jacques for that.
Yeah.
Frere Jacques is another
memorable. Memorable.
He's keeping the kids. He's keeping the kids from being scared and in order, and he just gets them singing around. There's a lot of singing of rounds in Star Trek.
They're really actually, yeah. We could throw in Kirk and McCoy as well, and we could throw Spock. He's not singing, but he's playing the lyre. I think I got that right. Lyre. I never pronounced that word.
Spoken lyre. Yeah.
I am going to make the unusual choice right now of I'm changing my answer. I'm agreeing with Ashley. I was a fool. Sally Rose Gooding. That's that. Sorry, that on my screen. Yeah, Sally Rose Gooding. He was connected. So that was one of the first times I had to struggle to hold it together doing one of the ups and downs because my eyes kept welling thinking of that and how into the next one it leads straight into the voice of the Enterprise is Uhura. And it was just like, so, all right, I'm so sorry when I was answering this. I was obviously running from one thing to another. Sally Rose Gooding, give the point to Ashley. Sorry, Travis, I want to give you a point. I really do, but yeah, this is...
I originally chose Celia Rose Gooding.
Oh,
can I just say?
Like, I'm in a tough position here now. Like,
but can I point out, as a kid, I was very young when TNG was out. When Captain Picard did something sort of wacky and out of character, it was very soothing to me as a kid to go, oh, he can be a bit lovable and silly. I feel like Celia Rose Gooding, while a brilliant singer and an amazing actress, she didn't, it wasn't out of character for her. Whereas with Picard, it always felt me a little reassured that he could be silly, but also serious. He's sort of like that fatherly figure. And I don't know, it's weirdly important to me when I was a kid for him to be a little bit more, I want to say emotional and charismatic. And that was a big part of it. And also Star Trek Insurrection.
Yeah, like I was not expecting Picard to be in this debate, although I'm not sad that he is. I was expecting, like the Doctor or somebody,
I did tell you that I picked the most random crap all the way through.
So Celia Rose Gooding was the first person I thought of, so obviously it was my top choice, but I struggled for a minute and I absolutely thought about picking the Klingon chef on Deep Space Nine.
Brilliant.
He would have been good.
Incredible. Too. Yeah, he did Klingon opera. And also, it was awesome.
Christina Chong from that cast in that episode.
Yeah.
She's the more, I guess, accomplished singer, right? Or maybe not. Maybe.
Well, Celia Rose Gooding has won a Grammy.
Yeah,
I guess so. She's more.
So she's and she's been nominated for Tonys, so she's pretty accomplished.
Okay. But are we going? You're talking about the actor, not the character.
I'm talking about the actress. Yeah.
But which
character
is the?
Oh, I don't know. I like to think that Uhura has been nominated for a Grammy.
She saved the Enterprise by singing.
Can I point out, if we're going to talk about Uhura, Celia Rose Gooding, yes, great singer. And I'm sorry, Nichelle Nichols in the original series, I don't like those songs. So she becomes a bad singer to me in TOS.
There's some interesting tunes. Yes, I agree.
Oh my goodness! And I'm well aware of the controversy about the released version of "Moon is a Window to Heaven." I still want to hear Nichelle Nichols singing "Moon is a Window to Heaven." Thank you very much.
Me too.
But I think the theme being Uhura has saved the day with her voice across several iterations. Yeah, I think. Sorry, just because we're running out of time. 7 of 9 is a good singer. She's great. I don't want it to sound like I don't like her anymore, but just I have to go.
Wow.
To be fair, Sean, you stepped out of that one, so it was definitely between Travis and Ashley.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. Geez, this is a tough one because they're both good choices, and Ashley already has 2 points. But I should have let them.
They're all good choices.
Don't give me the pity point. I don't want the pity point.
No, I'm gonna step in here. Honestly, I think, in my opinion, Travis deserves that point because he made more reasons as to why Picard's a better singer than Uhura. We're mostly leaning on the fact that Uhura is just a good singer because of the
and
actress.
She saved the Enterprise. That was the other big part that Ashley made. She saved the entire universe.
With her singing.
She saved the universe from singing. She saved the universe from the thing that she did to save the universe.
It's true, man. This is.
I'll fight it. I will fight it.
You know what?
What?
We're gonna do it like this. We're gonna do it like this.
What?
Hang on.
What are you doing? Okay.
What are you doing?
Sorry. Wait. 1 second. 1 second. 1 more minute. We're putting 1 more minute on the board.
Okay, keep going.
Yes, 1 more minute between Ashley and Travis.
Oh my gosh. I don't really have anything else to say other than, I feel like Travis made, I'll help you out, Dave. I feel like Travis actually made a really great point with this, and I can see why arguing Picard would be really hard on this, and it's something I never would have come up with, and I really do think he made better arguments than I did, because my arguments is literally just that Uhura is a good singer, because she is.
Right.
She is, but he gave reasons for Picard.
Okay. Okay.
If we're going for argument,
yes,
I think he made a great argument.
He did make a great, but so did you. So
that just backfired. This turned into an argument between Dave and Ashley.
Can I just point out that I just want to say this: arguing Picard is literally the hardest thing I've ever done in terms of debating.
And you know what?
It was harder than my argument.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. That is
uphill,
the Star Trek.
I was downhill.
That's the Star Trek spirit. The point goes to Travis.
A British tar is a soaring
I'm
free as a mountain bird.
Yeah. Well, Gilbert and Sullivan take the day. Congratulations to Travis. That was a tough one though, because these are all great options, and the 7 of 9 one too was like, oh man, she's a really good
agree.
singer.
7 of 9 is. I always enjoyed her singing. I always enjoyed her singing stuff with the Doctor. I loved it.
Oh yeah.
Someone to watch over me almost made me cry when she was singing and the Doctor was looking at her. It was amazing.
Yeah. No, there's some amazing scenes with her singing in Voyager, especially. Okay, well, we're moving on to the sports round, I believe. This is which Starfleet captain was the finest athlete? And there's a lot of good choices here, a lot of good options and source material to draw upon. I'm really excited for this one. Let's get into it. I think, is it Travis up first? Or no, it's actually up first this round. All right, you got the floor.
All right, I went with Archer for this. I surprisingly have a lot of Enterprise ones this round, but I went with Archer. I know everyone's not a super big fan of water polo. It's not a very popular sport, but it is an incredibly difficult sport. It is an Olympic sport. You have to be in incredible shape. There's a lot you have to do in water polo with the swimming and the treading of water and trying to do the ball and all that. He played water polo at Stanford while he was attending Stanford, and went on to the North American Regional Championships, where their team was down by 2 points in the last minute, and they ended up squeaking out the win to go on to the championship. it's obvious with him in uniform that he's still in great shape, so he's kept up his athletic abilities. Yeah, Archer. Water polo.
Best sport in the world.
Yeah, water polo. Okay, well.
I would just like to point out that my husband is currently laughing at me.
Well, it's a good choice, but maybe I don't know. We'll see. Water polo. It's a lot to it. Okay, Travis, Archer. He's a water polo, and he plays basketball sometimes. What do you got to go against that?
Don't look at Archer's muscles. What you need to look at is people who actually did sport in the series, and that's why I picked Captain Riker. Because you see him kick his dad's ass, you see him wearing a fabulous athletic outfit, you see him playing the trombone, which you have to have amazing lung capacity. I played the trombone badly for about 6 months a long time ago, and you need a lot of lung capacity for that. And you see throughout TNG, you see him competing in sports going on. He's the action hero of TNG. You can't tell me that Commander Riker didn't have the energy and the fitness to go on any away mission, kiss any woman, and kick any guys. I'm trying not to use swear words, but and come out on top every time. And 3, that's all I've got. 2, 1.
Captain Riker.
Swearing is welcomed on this show if you feel the need to drop an A-bomb here or there.
Yeah.
I am Australian. I just can't because I will use the C word a lot.
All right,
Well,
and Sean.
I think the C word's allowed in Ireland, right? Don't
It
you
is
guys
very
use that
much
a
allowed in
lot?
Ireland. Yeah.
And
Encouraged even.
I mean, it's becoming less of a problem in Canada. So
We have to be kind to our
viewers,
North American guests who are a little bit more sensitive to swearing.
Especially the Americans.
Us Canadians are trying to make it less of a bad thing, I think.
We're trying to roll with the punches.
Some of us also like it.
Sean.
Okay.
There is only one pick, and that is Captain Picard. Picard won the Starfleet Academy Marathon in 23-23, and that's impressive enough on its own. But think about it. He is a human male who was certainly running against Vulcans, running against Andorians, running against other Federation member races who would typically have greater strength, greater speed, greater endurance than a human. And he managed to win that marathon. That alone should secure it for him. But think about it as we go into the series as well. We see plenty of suggestions that he's still a very fit man. Star Trek Insurrection, in fact, check out those guns. He's doing fine. But I think the best thing to do is anyone challenge him to any kind of race or in that they think he will lose, and he will just say, you are free to test that assumption at your convenience.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, Sean, he also dances the mambo in
he does well
in Star Trek Insurrection. Excellent choices, yes. And he was the first only freshman ever to win the Academy Marathon too. But that's the only assist I'll give you there. Okay, good choices. Water polo, Archer, and to Davin's point in the comments, he also played desert lacrosse as well. And Travis, sorry, what was your choice?
Captain Riker.
Ambujitsu and Parisi Squares, and yes.
And can I point out, Captain Picard chose a life of going into sitting on a captain's chair, not doing anything, while Riker's out there saving the universe.
While still keeping that physique. So that's just because we didn't see him running rings around the bridge doesn't mean he wasn't in the gym. He said it himself on the way to Beta Z for the wedding at the Opal Sea. He was going to spend some time in the gym.
True.
We didn't see Riker be sporty as a captain, though. We only saw him be sporty as a commander. So I don't know if he would be the most sporty captain, because what was he doing as a captain? He was, sitting in a captain's chair just like Picard. But also, if we're going to say that being a playing a musical instrument makes you sporty, then I guess I was an athlete in high school.
Me too. But Riker was captain of the Enterprise during Best of Both Worlds, where he was clearly being an athlete and going on these away missions. So while yes, he wasn't a proper captain until later, while he was captain on the Enterprise, he was keeping up with that trombone stuff and all of the action and women kissing and non-binary kissing that he could.
I mean, technically, on that logic, Captain Picard was captain of the Borg Cube during Best of Both Worlds and oversaw the death of 11,000 people. That takes stamina. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you've got to give him that. You know, I don't think he slept at all in those 6 days. Sure, didn't he say he was very tired?
But he also stood there and fought it. He didn't do it.
In the argument of Picard beating alien species in his race, I will argue that Archer never got the chance to do that because they hadn't met a lot of those alien races yet, and he was just doing first contact with those. So at the time that he was being an athlete in the academy and at school, he didn't have the chance to go against aliens. And I think if we had seen that, Archer would have proven to come out on top of that as well.
I think it is a very good chance. I reckon you're probably right, but then we did see Picard, for example. What about Starship Mine, when we had those bandits were trying to steal from the Enterprise, and we saw him taking them out fairly handily, I have to say. And remember, Picard killed Tuvok. Now we can dress it up whichever way we want to look at, but Picard killed Tuvok.
Janeway killed Tuvix.
Janeway, I mean, like, you know, and then went for coffee, brought him back and killed him again. We also have in first contact as well. Has anyone ever tried to climb a rope in gym class? And then you've got Picard just like, you know, I'm laughing at this. This is mine. That's great. And then he's doing pull-ups and everything. The Borg Queen is hanging off him. Data's hanging off the Borg Queen. Keeping in mind, this is all over like liquid plasma. And then, of course, Nemesis, the thing that's going to win the entire thing is that, with absolutely no silliness whatsoever, pulls an iron bar off the wall of the scimitar, pokes it through Shinzon, who is a clone of Picard, so that when he starts pulling himself forward on this iron bar, that's only really proving that Picard was always going to be a better athlete, because he was always going to be strong, no matter whether he's a clone or himself.
Can I point out that Picard found that bar that was already broken? Like, it was already snapped. He just pushed it down.
But have you ever tried to play volleyball in the pool while on vacation? Now imagine having to do that competitively. That's difficult. And you are
I'm a Star Trek fan. There's no exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
A bit of truth to that, all right.
This one I'm not too conflicted on in terms of how this goes. I didn't know coming in that I would dub Jean-Luc Picard not only the best singer but also the best athlete. Point goes to Sean.
Thank you.
He also owns his own vessel.
That's right. Go ahead. Sorry, Ashley. Ashley?
Oh, I was just saying, for Picard being a true sportsman, he owns his own saddle.
Any good rider does.
Any good rider does.
Yeah,
And
no,
you can't
but
touch the bottom of the pool.
I do love that
No,
Archer
you
was
have
here
to-
for the fight. No one picked Cisco for baseball.
That sounds like baseball.
Where was the baseball? No,
Because baseball is barely a sport. You stand around for 40% of the game, and then the other 50% you sit on a bench. You occasionally have to run 20 feet to a base, and then you just stand there. It is so not a sport that you can literally chew tobacco while you play it. Fuck baseball.
I do remember the first time I ever saw, like, in real life baseball. I was so disappointed because
so
obviously
boring.
it wasn't edited to fit within the final act of a film where, you know, it was everyone is hitting a home run and they're all running around the whole time. I was like, that's baseball. Wait, that's baseball in real life? Right. Okay. Yeah.
I know how bad baseball is as a sport because I used to enjoy it as a child, and I didn't like any other sport. So I know it's bad.
Yeah, Australians like baseball a little bit more than the Irish and the English, I believe.
Really?
But you have a team at the Olympics that's decent, so or at least you used to.
We watch footy and rugby and
cricket.
tennis.
Better for
Older
me to
people
watch
do.
cricket.
All the older people like cricket. Okay. Well, here in Canada, it's hockey, and then whatever. But like, hey, let's get back on track here and get to our next round as we head into history. So we're gonna be asking the question here: which Starfleet officer of the third millennium would be the most historically noteworthy? Some people ask me about this question, what the third millennium is. That's the millennium we're currently in. Just because maybe I don't have to explain it. But anything after 2001. So nothing. Michael Burnham and all that stuff in the 32nd century is out of bounds. So we got to stay within those 1,000 years.
Oh,
all right.
Can someone remind me who I chose then?
You technically are within the limits. I'm gonna let this one go, but you are first, Travis. So you can. I'll remind you. You chose.
Enjoy.
Saru.
All right, here we go. Oh, interesting.
Saru. Yes, good. I had it written down on my notes, and I'm like, oh my god, who the hell did I choose then? So Saru is hands down the most notable character in Discovery, period. He's the first of his species to join Starfleet. He's an ambassador for his people later on, but he also, and I can't imagine, like Giorgio literally just picked him up on a planet. She didn't announce herself to the entire race. She took Saru. Not to mention that Saru went through Varahi, and he was the first one to go through that in order to progress to the next stage of his species development. He went back and liberated his people. He went back and introduced them to the universe around them. He was found by Starfleet and represent everything in Starfleet. You watch the first 2 seasons of Discovery, and he represents everything about Discovery and everything about Star Trek in general. That hope for the future. That
Right. Well, I just will put a note on this. That yes, he is a Starfleet officer from the third millennium. However, any of his actions post the year 3000 would not be considered. So his role as an ambassador or anything like that is pre.
Everything.
but he was kind of an ambassador before that, kind of unofficial.
Kind of. Okay. So we'll just so we're clear. Ashley, or is it Sean? Sean's up next.
Okay, my pick is Spock for many reasons. He is so indelibly connected with so many moments of the biggest parts of Star Trek history. The biggest one, let's be honest, unification. He almost single-handedly brought about the reunification of the Romulan and Vulcan peoples, which does count. So even though we saw Navarre in the 32nd century, he had been dead for almost 1,000 years. So his actions brought that about. Now, obviously, I'm not saying he set off the supernova to help. I mean, it certainly helped. But, but also, you see, it's not just, what he did in his own timeline. He was also responsible for bringing together Kirk and Spock of the Kelvin universe as well, and helping to rebuild Vulcan society in the Kelvin universe. He was one of the most accomplished half-human Vulcans of all time.
Okay, well, great choice. Okay, Ashley?
All right, I picked the only choice you can pick for this one, and I went with Archer because, I mean, come on. He was the captain of the first starship. He was for Earth. He was responsible for expanding United Earth's presence in the Alpha and Beta quadrants, making dozens of first contacts. He was considered the great explorer of the 32nd century. He saved the Earth from the Xindi. He helped in the formation of the Federation of Planets. I swear to God, without him, the Andorians wouldn't have been a part of the Federation as founding members. And then eventually went on to become one of the presidents of the Federation. I rest my case.
She yields the rest of her time.
Wow.
She does. Wow, another great choice. I agree. So Archer and Spock, I think, are front runners here. Although I'm not ruling out Saru. I just think a lot of his maybe accomplishments come in another millennium. But if we're gonna be technical on the question and how it was worded, but yeah, open debate. That's it.
I think Archer would have been the only other choice. I absolutely see why he would be the choice for all of the reasons you said. Spock, I think as well, because of think about it as well. He brought about, or at least helped to bring about, peace between Starfleet and the Klingon Empire as well, by helping to expose, not only setting up the talks, but also helping to expose the conspiracy that would have taken down those peace talks. We have as well, I mean, it's something like almost a century's work went into his work with Pardek. Now, unfortunately, obviously, what happened with Pardek, but he didn't give up. He attempted, obviously, as I said, to stop the supernova, and only left Romulus. In fact, it's a great section of Una McCormick's The Last Best Hope, in which Picard is, at this stage, it's a certainty that, the supernova is coming up, and there is, streams of ships leaving Romulan space. And there is a ship, the character isn't named. And he said, there is a ship bearing a man on which there is the only reason this man would be leaving Romulan space is if everything had been done, everyone who could be saved had been saved. And he was such a critical name, such a critical piece of history, that for him to leave Romulus at that point was a statement in and of itself. I do also to give weight as well to yourself, actually, like, so much of what Star Trek did from the 60s is, thank God for prequels, built on what Archer did. Like, that's why, I mean, I could sit here and make the same arguments for Archer as well. I think he is just like the only other choice. But for me, it's gotta be Spock.
I don't think Spock would have had the opportunity to do everything he did without Archer. I don't think the Federation, if Archer hadn't helped form that Federation, if Archer hadn't had the relationship with T'Pol that he had, I don't think that the human and Vulcan relationship would have healed as quickly as it did. So I don't think we would have been in a place in the original series timeline for Spock to, one, exist, and two, to have joined Starfleet. I don't think the Federation would have been where it was without Archer and all the things that Archer did during Enterprise and while he was on the Enterprise. Just as we always say how much Picard was always there to settle all these, and he was just so great at the diplomacy. But I argue that Archer was even better at the diplomacy, because Picard was going in and doing these diplomacies for aliens we had already seen before, and Archer had to go in and do it as a first contact with aliens that hated him, that eventually went on to become founding members of the Federation. And look at the Andorians and how quickly, with Shran's help, he turned that around, and then the Andorians became a big part of what later became the Federation. And being the president of the Federation is pretty historically noteworthy.
It's pretty good.
But a lot of that stuff happened after the series ended, though. A lot of that is same with Saru. It's after he goes to the 32nd century.
But
it's all like, he could have been the worst.
It still happens in that millennium.
Aye, that's true. It is. I think my point of that is, as true as all of that is, it's more of a case of, for which we are incredibly proud of Archer, grateful for Archer, but with the work Archer did, Spock built on that. And I think Spock did more. Yes, I think he was able to because of what Archer did, but I do think Spock then went on and did more historically in his career and in his lifetime as well.
Okay, well, that was a really great debate, everybody. Really enjoyed all that. It's very difficult because I think Ashley has made a strong argument here with Archer comes first. Without Archer laying certain groundwork, Spock can't do this, or Saru can't do that, or whatever. But so it's tough, because I feel like, if you were you're talking about George Washington versus Abraham Lincoln, in a sense, right? Because obviously you have to have one before the other, but there's a lot of historical significance on the later character too. I guess I'm comparing Spock to Lincoln in this analogy.
Don't go to the theater, Spock.
Don't go to the theater. Don't go to Romulus when it has a supernova. But the main thing that I think is going to tip the balance here is that is that Spock was historically noteworthy in another dimension as well, being the Kelvin universe and bringing together the alternate Kirk and Spock. So I got to go with Sean on this round. Congratulations to Sean. And it's a tight match here. Okay, so we are now heading into the wild card round. Travis, you need this point in order to force a tiebreaker. Otherwise, it will be Sean and Ashley moving on to the speed round. So this is our final regular round. This is what is the best Starfleet uniform. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a big uniform guy. I love the Starfleet. I'm wearing one right now.
That's putting it mildly, Dave.
Yes.
Very mildly.
Excellent.
We had a whole ranking convention for uniforms already, where we did S tier, A tier, different Starfleet uniforms. I'm going to try to go blank slate here and pretend that I didn't have my own biases coming in here. But like, give me reasons. Why are these uniforms better? Not just aesthetically, but maybe functionally. Sean up first. Okay, Sean, you have the floor.
Anyone who knows me knows what I'm about to say, and it's the Monster Maroons. Introduced in Wrath of Khan, they are not only are they functional, but you can, as clearly as you can with the Next Generation and Beyond, you can see the division changes, but also it gives a sense of gravitas. But it's also, as I say, it's very, very functional. I mean, arguably the most functional will always be Enterprise. They let you wearing jumpsuits, but here you get the, I will say, militaristic feel. I think it suited Starfleet at the time, and I think in many ways they have influenced an awful lot of what has come afterwards. I absolutely love the reimagining that we saw in Strange New Worlds. Massive shout out to Bernadette Croft for managing to modernize it and to prove as well how that design that was done back in 1981 ahead of 1982 release is as visceral and as strong a design today as it was then.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Okay. Very, very good there. Okay, Ashley, you are up next. What are you bringing?
I went with the Strange New Worlds, the regular duty uniforms, both for functionality and for aesthetics. I think they look absolutely great. I will absolutely agree. And it is one of my points that they are very similar to the red uniforms in the movies. Structurally wise, I love how they do the shoulders on it. It kind of modernizes the original series episodes. I do prefer a uniform where it's the bold colors like that. It's the full colors. I'm not as big of a fan when the colors are just on the turtleneck. I'm not like in the Deep Space Nine ones. It's like, or it's just the shoulders. That's not. I like it when that's Star Trek to me. That's what I grew up with. That's what I prefer. And then I think that they modernized the dresses. They made them a little more flattering with the black down the side. I think looked absolutely spiffy, and we can't not talk about Pike's green captain's jacket because it is incredible.
Second one's better than the first one, but okay. And then we're gonna get into Travis.
I went old school. I went with the DS9 Voyager colored top. Now, I always felt the TNG uniform looked a little bit, I want to say pajama-ish, but I feel like the TNG, this uniform shown on screen now is much more practical in a sense of it doesn't look like a military uniform, because in universe, Starfleet isn't necessarily military. It kind of is. It looks professional. Whereas the other uniforms, particularly the newer uniforms in the current series, are a bit over-designed. There's too much design on them. I prefer a basic sort of line color. Black is a bit more difference from TNG. TNG is a bit overdone, whereas this is a nice mix of professional but also functional within the imagined universe of Star Trek. And some of them do have pockets.
Some of them do have pockets. Okay, well, I will say, for just my perspective, these are three of my favorite uniforms. I think they were all S tier uniforms in the ranking convention, I believe. And so this is going to be tough. All right, go fight.
I'm another uniform guy. It's a running joke that every time a new uniform is introduced in a Star Trek episode, someone will tweet me going, "How's the bank balance?" And I say, "Crying." But, and so like that, I'm like, yep, I think I'd nearly be happy with whoever takes it home. I think for me, so much of my favorite memories are tied in with this, with the Monster Maroon uniform as well. But also, if you look at the impact that it has, it directly influenced the original choice of uniforms for Star Trek Generations, which I still absolutely love. I think I have a couple of the action figures that were released with those uniforms as well, which then of course, fantastic. Yeah, perfect.
With the wraparound jacket we never got. Yeah,
exactly right. And of course, they in turn directly influence what we got for Star Trek Lower Decks. So, you can see that influence is still right the way through. Where, I mean, you can't argue with people when they say pockets. I mean, I love pockets. However, because of the overall design of the Monster Maroon, we get the bomber jacket that is introduced in Star Trek 3 as well. We see Scotty wearing it. We see Kirk wearing it again then in Star Trek 5. And I can tell you, as I own one, they've got some very nice pockets in that one. It combines my favorite rank insignia for any of the uniforms. They're just my favorite. I love it on the shoulder. I love it on the cuff. They're ridiculously expensive. And possibly for that alone, for the amount of money I've sunk into these uniforms, please let them win. But honestly, I think they're a beautiful design and they endure.
See, I feel that Ashley's right with the color. I think having the color makes it very distinctly Star Trek, very distinct in terms of the thing.
And
whereas
it makes it easier on people because you can give a quick glance and immediately know what division people are in without having to go, wait, there's slight variation on their turtleneck color. Like which color? You're looking at it from a distance. You're like, is that white? Is that kind of a light blue? Do we got a little bit of gray going on? What's happening with that?
Yeah.
But which shade of gold? Are they engineering or are they security? Because there's two different shades of gold going on.
I do feel like too much color is too much. Like I like enough color to work out what they are or where they are. Science or operations or confusingness, but I can sort of work that out. Whereas the Strange New World ones, it's like they're wearing giant, really tight pajamas, and I don't know why it feels that way to me. And I honestly would prefer the TOS uniforms in terms of they just look more comfortable.
Right.
Those look more like pajamas than the Strange New Worlds ones do, because at least the Strange New Worlds one, they have structure to them. My argument against yours is you're both men, so you probably haven't worn a lot of one-piece outfits. Women get a lot of jumpsuits and one-piece outfits, and they are not functional in any way. Think about having to go to the bathroom. Men, sure, if there's a zipper, you can just undo the zipper. But when a female has to go to the bathroom in one of those outfits, that thing has to go all the way down. So you're just going to, I know we don't go to the bathroom in Star Trek, but you have to take the thing completely off. Whereas with a two-piece, it's more functional. You just have to take the pants down. You don't have to worry about taking the whole thing off. So for men, like going, if they once a day when they have to go and poop, they got to take that thing right off. It's not functional. It wastes so much time.
You don't know what it's like having, like, you'd have to take the whole thing off to go for a pee ananyway. You don't want urine on your overall.
Yeah, it's terrible. You got a whole it's awful. It's not functional.
Now I can't get Riker without the idea of him being naked and his whole like uniform at his ankles out of my head.
I feel like if there's anyone who's naked the most in Star Trek, it's Riker.
It's naked the most.
The nipple picture comes to mind from that episode.
I think Riker looks at the Emperor's New Clothes as like inspiration.
Oh, I got a spot there.
So cute.
Wait, pause. Okay, maybe the toughest route so far, I think, in this debate. I feel like we could go around and around forever, so I don't want to delay it any further. But man, this was tough. These are three of my favorite uniforms. They're all worthy choices. Ashley did bury you, Travis, with that whole bathroom thing, though. I gotta say, so I just like. Points to Ashley. She won me over the Strange New Worlds thing. The argument about the full color being more iconically Star Trek. I'm persuaded by this bathroom argument. Although like and her thing about like, oh, what's the division colors? And she's right, the monster maroons, like it's hard to really tell some of those division colors apart. In particular, I think like the science and the like the tactical division almost look exactly like the same kind of gray, kind of this tan gray color that's hard to tell apart. Although I do like
tell the division. You know you're an admiral when you've got a bloody handprint on the opened flap. You know, that's like, okay, that's the admiral. So
yeah, you know, and I was like, so I really love that monster maroon uniform as well, but I think Ashley she had a few really good strong points that just were like very convincing. So I'm sorry, Travis. I did want to see you continue here, but you're welcome to stay around and help judge this speed round we are about to jump into between Ashley and Sean.
And now it's
I'll
time
just
for
watch
the
so
speed
good.
round.
Okay, so this will be a fast moving thing. We'll be moving. So you know, like Murphy said at the beginning, you know, you'll get 30-second opening statements. You'll be given an A or a B option in most cases, except maybe for the final round, but it's still kind of an A or B. So whoever puts their hand up and says, "I want that," first, will argue first, if that makes sense, right? So with all that,
wait for Dave to finish reading the question, and then whoever we hear first with their choice.
And Ashley's coming in here with a 1-point lead up. So she's 3-2, but each round is worth is the same amount of points. Okay. Speed round movies. Let's jump in. Which film franchise is stronger, TOS or TNG?
TOS.
TOS.
Ashley got in first, so she is
cool.
So you are TNG, Sean.
Okay.
So Ashley first.
Ashley's first.
I mean, there's more of them. I think there's less bad versions. My biggest argument is TOS. They're at least all entertaining, and they don't have Nemesis. Like Nemesis just brings down the TNG movies all the way down. If you're comparing watchability, watching all the TOS all the way through versus all the TNG all the way through, there's a little more cohesion through the original series ones. 3 of the movies are tied together, so you get this long arc storyline. You don't get that with the TNG.
Yeah. All right.
With the Next Generation movies, you have 2 films directed by Jonathan Frakes straight away, which definitely helps. Generations, I suppose we can both take Generations, really, because it's a crossover one. But Generations,
I'll give it to you.
Oh, I kind of need it. Thank you, because it contains one of my favorite scenes of all, which is the scene in the cabin. I will defend most of Nemesis. There's some bits that can't be defended, but the scene in the Romulan Senate is one of the most perfect scenes in Star Trek.
Rebuttal.
Nemesis was is the movie that I would argue had such a great premise and such a terrible delivery, even more than Star Trek 5. Like people always say it had a good premise, but it didn't deliver. That's Nemesis.
Rebuttal.
It just pooped all over it.
I agree with you about 5. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to win this one because I'm on her side. The TOS films are better.
I was like, Sean better say something soon, or I don't think I can give him this.
The Nexus. I don't know.
Nexus.
Okay, points to Ashley. She is up by 2 now. So
yeah,
you got the worst. Your series had the worst death scene in the history of Star Trek.
Oh,
it was fun. It was fun. All right. Speed round TV. Let's jump in. If they were in command of Voyager, who would get the crew home faster, Kirk or Picard?
Kirk.
All right, you're up, Sean.
Gets Kirk.
Okay. Kirk would do it because while Kirk is all right. How do I say this nicely? Kirk was a more, I feel, militaristic commander than Picard was. I think Picard would, he would stop more often than Janeway did to make first contact and to investigate every little thing. And I think that is commendable. I really do. I think Kirk, when faced with the mission of get my crew home, he would be so singularly focused on that he would have got them home at least at the same speed as Janeway, if not faster.
Yeah.
Ashley?
Oh, I am going to concede on this one. I cannot. Picard would have been the worst. Do you know who would have gotten them home the fastest? Cisco.
Cisco, yeah.
I can't even come up with an argument for Picard. He would literally find anything archaeologically intriguing and then just immediately stop at that planet and be like, I got to dig this up for the next 18 months. Like, he would have been, he won't do anything outside of his ethics. He would have been terrible on Voyager.
Yeah.
They'd
First
still be
time any man's.
The wrong one. I was looking for the first duty to Starfleet is the truth and all that, but that was a different quote. Point goes to Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a concession. Yeah, but it was fun.
I didn't even listen, Sean. I didn't even listen to your argument because I was so in my head trying to come up with something to argue for Picard. And then we got to my time, and I was like, I have nothing.
He might be the best singer and he might be the best athlete, but he's not getting people home faster.
He's not getting Voyager home.
All right. Speed round music. Let's hit it. Which of these theme songs should never be skipped? Deep Space Nine or Voyager?
DS9.
Okay.
All right, you're up.
I will tell you this right now. Voyager has the better opening credits sequence. It's up there with Prodigy for, I think, the best two of them all. But DS9, that music that was composed by Dennis McCarthy is Deep Space Nine to its absolute core. That lonely horn that really, really sums up those first couple of seasons, particularly. And then when they sort of jazzed it up a little bit, once DS9 became a more popular hub for travel and commerce, I think it is absolutely beautiful and stunning. And also 3 a.m. at Quarks, the piano version.
Oh, okay. Good opener.
All right. Voyager, I mean, when we come down to it, you don't just want to think about the song, but visuals as well. I absolutely agree that Voyager is the most beautiful opening out of any of them. I also think the music is a little bit more triumphant and definitely fits the theme of Voyager as well. I find Deep Space Nine drags a little bit. It gets a little slow. I think they could have increased the tempo just slightly on Deep Space Nine one to make it a little bit less draggy. But I absolutely think that Voyager, just the visuals on it, and Voyager is the one that I don't skip.
Rebuttal.
If we're just going by the pure rating, it's just the theme song. It has to be DS9 for me, because I agree. There's no argument. The visuals for Voyager straight away, that's going to take it home. But just for the music alone, Jerry Goldsmith, I love you, but Dennis McCarthy earned that end.
Rebuttal.
No, I wish music alone. I wish that the Deep Space Nine one was a little faster. I think the Voyager theme builds better than the Deep Space Nine one and keeps it consistently building through it, rather than Deep Space Nine that kind of builds and then goes down a little bit and then builds again, and it kind of speeds up but then it slows down, and the tempo is just kind of off on it.
Damn, this is a good one. And Travis, were you convinced by one more than the other? Or just curious, as I'm very on the fence.
I get what they mean by both of them. I agree. Prodigy is actually my new favorite. I think DS9 represents DS9 better, but Voyager, I always found that theme a bit slow and meandering. So I'd say DS9 is my go-to, but everyone's different.
Yeah, and this is really subjective, so it's hard to really argue what one of you is. I actually did have some great points there, but I'm leaning towards
a long road.
Yeah, I'm gonna give. I'm leaning towards Sean on this one, so Sean gets the point. So we're tied up.
Deep Space Nine theme is the ringtone on my phone.
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually love it.
But you did a great job deconstructing it in your argument.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, speed round sports. Which of these is more dangerous, Ambo Jitsu or Parisi Squares?
I don't think I know enough about either of them. I'll go Ambu Jitsu.
Okay, Ambu Jitsu. You saw Riker in his suit, but in the sports round,
I mean, I don't really remember much of the rules of either of these or much about either of these. Don't people die playing Ambujitsu? Like, isn't it
Both.
Oh, both. Okay. I'm struggling to argue this, but I'm going to go Ambujitsu because it seems like it's the most martial arty, and that can be super, super dangerous. I don't remember what Parisi Squares is.
we saw it in Star Trek Prodigy recently, but it's pretty new. Okay, Sean.
So it's Parisi Squares, and both of my examples are from Voyager. The first being in the episode Real Life with the Doctor's holographic family. His daughter is actually killed due to an accident that happens in Parisi Squares. And then later on in Year of Hell as well, Harry Kim, they're doing a quiz to pass the time. And he speaks about, I think it's Mokobara Chung, who is the only Klingon to ever play it at the Academy, who was called a foul against, and he strangled the referee. It's a very high energy game, and there's a lot of injury and death.
Wow. Okay.
Rebuttal.
I don't have a rebuttal. I can't argue against it. I don't. I'm embarrassed to say that I don't remember what Parisi Squares is, and I'm gonna have to do some reading up on it after this.
We mostly hear about it, we don't see it.
I know the name. I cannot picture the game. I cannot picture it. I don't remember what the rules. I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
Sounds like Sean
I
gets
just
the
remember
point.
it being mentioned.
Sean gets the point. Yeah, I don't actually know if anyone died in Ambujitsu. So, but Ambujitsu is blindfolded, like American Gladiators style, like fighting with a thing. So anyway,
CTE
all right,
is real.
Oh, so Sean is taking the lead for the first time. All right, so we're heading into speed round history. Who violates the temporal prime directive more flagrantly, Kirk or Janeway?
Kirk.
All right, Ashley, you have Kirk. Sean has Janeway.
I mean, just based on the temporal agents in the Deep Space Nine episode, they immediately bring up Kirk. They don't talk about Janeway stuff. They would know all the stuff Janeway did because they're temporal agents. They know all the things all the way through history, past and future, and it's immediately they talk about Kirk, the like 22 or whatever violations he had. It's Kirk is there. They hate Kirk because of his flagrant disregard.
Man was a menace. Okay, let's go over to Sean.
The temporal prime directive wasn't written in the original series, so by definition, it's Janeway. Because Janeway specifically says to Admiral Janeway, "What about the temporal prime directive? The hell with it." So in this is a purely splitting hairs answer. Janeway is the one who actually says, "The hell with the prime directive." The prime directive had not been introduced when Kirk was making his crimes. That is such a technically answer.
It
was. It's yeah, okay, but
if temporal agents are saying that he was messing around with the temporal stuff all the time, even if it hadn't been written in his time, they still went back and retroactively added him into it because of how often he just thumbed his nose at the temporal anything.
I like to think he inspired it.
The reason it exists,
He brought whales to the future where they didn't exist anymore.
That is true. Are we rebuttaling?
You get a rebuttal, Sean.
Okay. I mean, back in Kirk's day, they were being assigned to travel through time. For example, assignment Earth. We're here on assignment to study the 1960s. Whereas, Janeway, it was accidentally a lot of the time, but
yeah. It's Janeway. Sadly. So, but because when he said she said the hell with the which I had forgotten about that she said that. To hell with the temporal prime directive. Which means, Sean, you now have won because Ashley cannot catch you. So congratulations. But we have one last little debate here, like we can throw in for fun. The speed round wild card, what have it been? Be it resolved, Star Trek shows should include a voiceover with Space the Final Frontier.
No.
No, I agree with you. Oh, sorry. Actually, screw it. It doesn't matter at this stage. I agree with you.
We can agree.
Ashley, you get the final point, so it is a 1-point game.
There we go.
Out here, it's kind of like when you score it, to make it a 1-goal game at the end of the third period. But
you know what? I'm gonna say that's worth it. Double points. We're gonna go with the tiebreaker because I really want to see this one. Okay. This is the tiebreaker question. I hope you're all ready for this. Let me just. Dave, if you will.
I don't even know what this is. Okay. Tiebreaker. Worf is the only true Klingon, yes or no?
No.
Oh, no.
Okay, well, I think Ashley got the no. So.
Okay.
So you gotta argue for yes, Sean. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I mean, no, he didn't even grow up around Klingons. He grew up with humans. It's obvious. He always talks about this is the Klingon way. This is how the Klingons do it. I can't do that because I'm Klingon. All this stuff. And then every other time we see Klingons, they're not that way at all. He talks about how he has to be so serious because he's Klingon, but the Klingons are constantly jovial, getting drunk, singing songs, like doing all this stuff. They love to have fun. They love to do all this stuff that Worf is like, no, I can't do that because I'm Klingon. He doesn't seem to have a grasp. It's like he read a paragraph on what it is to be Klingon and then just went with that and didn't actually learn what it is to be Klingon.
Okay.
So Worf was lifted out of his Klingon heritage, obviously for a good reason. He was saved at Khitomer and was then raised as an outsider. And then he obviously learned and grew within the Klingon culture. He brought that then to Starfleet. He brought, Klingon representation, but also never forgetting what it was, in fact, to be a Klingon. He was able to hold his honor over everything else. He was able to make that part of what exemplified him as an officer. And he also assassinated 2 people to install Martok on the throne.
Rebuttal.
If he was a true Klingon, he would have taken that throne. He wouldn't have given it away to someone else like a human would do, decide that somebody else is better for that role and give it away. He would have gone, nope, this is my empire. This is my legacy. This is what it means to be Klingon. I killed this person. I am going to take this throne. That is what it is to be Klingon.
Rebuttal.
That is if one subscribes to the idea that Klingons are nothing more than bloodthirsty savages who are all power hungry. But if one subscribes to the idea that Klingons have the only true belief in honor, then there is nothing more honorable than seeing what is needed for the Empire and putting what is required there as well.
But he went back on his own beliefs of what it is to be Klingon because he believed that was the way that Klingons were. He said
this
it all
outside the clock.
All of his stuff.
Yeah. Right. Well, okay.
Are you a Klingon warrior or an Alvarian dung beetle?
I don't know. He might be a dung beetle. So, Ashley, geez, it's like a tie, but like Ashley, I think is the edge here. So, like, I thought Sean argument about that nothing's more honorable. I guess Klingon in like on paper, Worf is the best Klingon, but in practicality,
see the true Klingon. That's the thing. If him being outside of Klingon and his whole massive belief behind Klingonism makes him the one true Klingon, as opposed to where you actually go to Kronos and all the Klingons aren't acting with other. There's a lot of like inner bickering and inner like stuff.
He's said this is what it is to be a Klingon, and had a Klingon go, no, it's not. Literally, in Deep Space Nine.
Right. What if they treat it more like a guideline? Travis, what do you think?
I think they're both right. I think that Worf grew up reading about being Klingon, but never was a Klingon in practice. Right. And so when he met actual Klingons, he sort of had these book rules in his head, but was never actually fully Klingon. So he's equally the most Klingon, but also the least Klingon because he's both at the same time. So I think it's a
Trill wife teaching him what it is to be a Klingon.
Yeah, Dax has to teach him.
Not proper Klingon thing.
Exactly, and her reincarnated next self as well. I love that scene where Ezri, with a healthy dose of skepticism, says, Worf, you are the most honorable man I know, and if you're willing to leave things the way they are, there's no hope for the Klingon Empire. That's always stuck with me. Just before, I can't remember if that's before or after Sisko orders the assassination of Gowron, which, by the way, Sisko most definitely ordered the assassination of Gowron. I think we can all agree on that one. And but he's also not a true Klingon, and everyone's a winner.
Everyone's a winner because because Sean kind of won, but then I guess based on our rules of tiebreaker, Ashley's come back in at one in this alternate timeline.
I think
so.
I think it's a tie. I think I'll
a tie
for your Martok.
Definitely a tie.
Definitely a tie. Congratulations. And this was such a fun conversation, debates, all these different topics we jumped through. An absolute pleasure for me. It was a joy to hear you all talk about your different choices and just talk about Star Trek. This was a great time. And I want to thank Chris for helping put this panel together today.
Thank you, Dave. For hosting, and thank you everybody for showing up for another episode of Trivial Debates, the Star Trek themed episode we had going on. Before we say goodbye, let's take a little moment for our guest, Ashley Millard. Where can people find you if you so wish to let them find you?
I mean, you can find me on Live Long and Podcast and any of its iterations. I'm a guest on several things on there. Friday evening, I do have another Trek trivia coming up on Live Long and Podcast, and it is the Silver Screen Edition. So we're going to be doing trivia on the movies.
Fabulous. And Sean Ferrick, where can the folks find you?
Pretty much anything Trek culture related. We're on the YouTubes and the social medias. This week, if you're in the convention in Vegas, I will be there, as will Ellie, my co-host. So we'll be there for the full week. Come and say hi. Do run up to us. Do say hi. Do shout in our faces. We actually quite like that sort of thing. Much like a true Klingon. Thank you.
I'll take you up on that if I see you. I'm not going to Vegas, but
Travis, where can the wonderful audience find your content?
At Trek Trav on YouTube and Trek Trav official on TikTok, and just look for Trek Trav. That's basically it.
It's not.
Thank you so much for
Mayweather. A different Travis.
All right. Well, with that, you guys, thank you again for joining us for Truly Debates. Hopefully next month we're going to have ourselves a Game of Thrones edition episode where we're going to have some contestants. I'll lock that in. Keep tuned, stay subscribed, and all that jazz. We've got some other podcasts as we're part of the United Federation of Podcasts. You're going to get to see those in the end. And with that, thank you for having fun with us, and hopefully we'll see you next month.
Thanks, everyone.
Until next time, live long and prosper. And that's not the video I want to play. This is the one. Haha.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on Trivial Debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.